There's a reason your heart keeps circling back to this. Before you swipe past this and let doubt take the wheel, just pause and actually sit with what I'm about to say. You didn't end up here by chance. Out of everything you could be doing with your time, something led you to this exact moment, thinking about that one person who won't leave your thoughts. That's not an accident. That's not meaningless static in your mind. There's a reason this bond still feels alive somewhere deep inside you, even when you've spent so much energy telling yourself it's finished. There's a reason their name still surfaces the second everything else goes quiet. And what you're about to hear might genuinely reshape how you look at this whole chapter of your life. This connection you're carrying hasn't been erased from your future. If these words found you today, take a breath before your logical mind starts picking everything apart. This wasn't luck. You didn't just randomly land here. Something quietly steered you toward this moment for a reason. There's an understanding of just how worn down you've become, the exhaustion of running the same loop over and over, questioning why this tie refuses to fully let go, is seen. You've attempted to walk away more than once. You've thrown yourself into other distractions. You've repeated the line to yourself that it's over, that none of it matters anymore. You've buried the thoughts. You've kept busy on purpose. You've tried, really tried, to talk your own heart out of holding on to the memories and that strange, stubborn pull that still lives between the two of you. And despite every attempt, here you still are, thinking of them. There's a reason behind that persistence. Before going further, welcome to Carl Jung Insights. If any of this is resonating, stick around, because sometimes one message is enough to completely rearrange your perspective and untangle something that's felt confusing for a long time. You've probably asked yourself this more times than you can count. Why does this person still occupy space in my chest? Why do they show up in my thoughts right when I've finally found a bit of calm? Why do they slip into my dreams just when I thought I was moving on? Why does hearing their name still do something to me, tighten something or soften something, even after everything that's happened between you? Fate doesn't vanish just because the timing was off. Just because things didn't come together the way you hoped doesn't mean none of it counted for anything. Not every connection is designed to be easy. Not every pair of souls meets and instantly slides into a smooth, effortless life together. Some relationships exist to wake you up first. They're built to stretch you past your comfort, to bring your wounds to the surface, to push you toward growth you couldn't have reached any other way. Sometimes, healing and transformation have to come before two people are actually ready to stand beside each other for real. This person didn't stumble into your world by mistake, and loving them wasn't foolish. Think of it this way. This connection existed because it was necessary for the person you're turning into. What felt like a breakup, what felt like distance, what felt like being pushed away, none of that was proof of your worth being less than it is. You felt overlooked. You felt invisible. You felt passed over. Those feelings were completely real, and every tear, every whispered prayer, every sleepless night spent second-guessing your value didn't go unnoticed. But that separation wasn't designed to break you. It was designed to get you ready. Sometimes two people really are meant for one another, just not as the people they were the day they met. Back when this connection started, maybe one of you was still dragging around old wounds. Maybe one of you feared real closeness, real commitment, real vulnerability. Maybe one of you hadn't yet figured out how to love without fear running the show. And maybe, honestly, you both had healing left to do. Destiny doesn't automatically mean an instant, effortless coming together. It doesn't promise a path with no obstacles. Sometimes what's meant for you comes wrapped in distance. Sometimes it comes wrapped in silence. Sometimes the lessons feel a lot like loss. But underneath all of that, growth has been quietly happening. While you two were apart, you were changing. You were learning where your boundaries are. You were figuring out what you're actually worth. You were starting to realize love isn't supposed to feel like constant unease or confusion. And on their end, whether it's visible to you or not, something has likely been shifting too. Nothing about meaningful connections is left to chance. When someone leaves a mark on you that doesn't just fade away, that means something. Not everyone who crosses your mind is tied to your destiny, but when someone keeps resurfacing in your heart, quietly and consistently, even long after time has passed, even after every effort to move on, there's something more significant happening beneath the surface. None of this means you should chase them down. It doesn't mean forcing anything into place. What's genuinely meant for you won't require you to beg or lose pieces of yourself trying to hold on to it. But it also doesn't mean the story has closed just because a chapter of distance happened. Sometimes two people are pulled apart temporarily so each can grow on their own. If they'd stayed locked into the same unhealthy patterns, they might have ended up hurting each other in ways that couldn't be undone. So the distance became a form of protection. The silence became room to reflect. The pain became a teacher in disguise. You might not see the whole picture yet. You might still feel unsure about all of it. But try trusting that not everything that falls apart is destined to remain broken. Some things collapse only so they can be rebuilt on something sturdier. This person is still tied to your journey, just not in the same form as before. The old version of what you had may genuinely be gone. That immature, fear-driven, wounded version of love might not come back. But that doesn't rule out something healthier and new emerging when the season is right. For right now, it isn't your job to control how this plays out. Your job is to keep becoming a stronger, healthier version of yourself. Work on your wounds, strengthen your inner faith, build real confidence. Learn to love yourself in a way that doesn't hinge on whether someone else is around. If this person truly belongs in your story long-term, the timing will align on its own. You won't need to force conversations or manipulate circumstances. You won't have to shrink who you are just to keep them close. When it's the right moment, confusion will finally give way to clarity, and anxiety will give way to peace. And if things end up going a different direction, this connection will still have served your growth in some meaningful way. None of what you went through was wasted. Every emotion, every hard lesson, every tear played a part in shaping you into someone wiser and more resilient. So instead of asking why this person keeps crossing your mind, ask yourself what this experience has actually been teaching you. Instead of labeling it a mistake, consider that it might be one piece of a much bigger picture you can't fully see yet. Your story is still being written. Believe that whatever truly belongs in your life will circle back in its proper form, at its proper time, once both people are actually ready for it. In this connection, one of you had been quietly holding on to pain for years, pain that never got fully acknowledged, never truly released, buried instead under a mask of strength, pride, and silence. The other person loved fully and honestly, but struggled to stay grounded. When the relationship started asking for real depth and growth, the emotion was there, but the steadiness wasn't. The separation happened as a form of protection over something still being shaped. If things had stayed as they were, that relationship would have slowly worn both people down. So the gap between you two wasn't put there to close the story. It was put there to stop something worse from happening. The distance was a safeguard, not a punishment. You keep asking yourself why you can't seem to shake this person from your mind. Throughout your life, you've crossed paths with plenty of people. Some mattered for a short stretch of time. Some existed to teach you something. Some were simply distractions. Most of them naturally drifted out of your memory eventually. But this one didn't fade the same way. No matter how much time went by, no matter how hard you tried to move forward, some part of them stayed lodged inside you. The reason you can't shake them is because on some level, your souls recognized each other in a way that goes past logic or explanation. This isn't obsession. It isn't weakness. It isn't emotional dependency. It's recognition happening on a deeper plane. Some connections don't just live in memory. They get carved into the spirit itself. That's why time didn't erase it. Silence didn't erase it. New conversations, new faces, every attempt to replace it didn't erase it either. When something is genuinely meant to unfold eventually, it stays alive quietly in the background, even during the stretches where it feels completely over. Work continues on it in ways that aren't visible yet. While you've been replaying moments, questioning yourself, wondering where things went sideways, change has been happening behind the scenes for both of you. You've been growing in directions you didn't anticipate. You've been learning about boundaries, about your own worth, about refusing to settle for less than you deserve. You've had to sit with uncomfortable parts of yourself that needed attention. You've faced fears head-on. You've confronted old patterns. You've come out stronger for it. And the other person has been dealing with their own internal battle as well. They haven't found full peace either. On the surface, they might look composed. They might seem busy, focused, maybe even distant, like nothing's wrong. But underneath, they feel the absence too. They feel the space you left. They feel that unresolved energy still hanging between you two. Even if their pride won't let them say it out loud, something in them still senses you. They think about you more often than they'd ever admit, and in the quiet moments, alone, they feel that loss. You genuinely tried to let go. You told yourself enough time had passed. You tried filling your mind with other things. You tried dating other people. You tried convincing yourself it was truly finished. But every single time you got close to actually releasing it, something tugged you right back. Maybe their face showed up in a dream. Maybe some small, random thing reminded you of them out of nowhere. Maybe a wave of emotion hit you without warning. It felt almost like something out there kept whispering their name right when you were trying hardest to forget. This bond hasn't been fully let go of because the story genuinely isn't finished. That doesn't mean you should sit around waiting in sadness. It doesn't mean chasing them down or begging for them to come back. It doesn't mean putting your entire life on pause. It means this connection is still being guided by something larger than either of you can control. Something is still unfolding that hasn't fully revealed itself yet. Your job isn't to force it along. Your job is to keep becoming whole on your own. A lot of people mix up delay with denial. They assume if something doesn't happen right away, it's never going to happen at all. But delay isn't the same as rejection. Delay shows up when healing isn't complete yet, when lessons are still being learned, when emotional maturity hasn't fully formed, when the alignment between two people simply isn't there yet. Denial works differently. Denial brings a kind of peace. If something truly isn't meant for you, your heart eventually settles on its own. Your soul lets go naturally, without a fight, and the attachment fades without needing to be forced. That's not what's happening here. If this were true denial, their memory wouldn't still feel this alive. Their name wouldn't still stir something in you. You wouldn't carry this quiet sense that something is still unresolved between you. This isn't a closed door. This is more like a pause, a preparation phase where both people are being shaped separately, so you don't end up hurting each other the same way again. Now for the honest, harder part. They pulled back. They stepped away, and it hurt in a way that felt like outright rejection, like abandonment. But they didn't leave because they stopped caring. They left because they didn't yet know how to love in a healthy, sustainable way. Some people feel things intensely but still fear the responsibility that comes with genuinely loving someone. They fear commitment. They fear being held accountable. They fear being fully seen and vulnerable. Real love isn't only a feeling, it demands stability, consistency, and the courage to stay present even when things get uncomfortable. At that point in time, they weren't ready for that level of growth. Rather than face their own unresolved wounds, they retreated. Not because what you had wasn't real, but because they weren't equipped yet for something that required that kind of maturity. None of what you went through is being wasted, though. This period of separation is being used to shape you. It's strengthening your sense of who you are. It's teaching you how to stand firmly on your own 2 feet without hardening or losing your softness in the process. And it's teaching them something too. It's showing them exactly what they lost, and it's forcing them to finally look at the fears they've been avoiding. Sometimes distance ends up teaching lessons that closeness never could. This connection was never designed to keep you stuck in pain. It was designed to wake you up. It was designed to push both of you toward real growth. You're not being asked to suffer through this. You're being asked to rise above it. Keep living your life. Keep building yourself up. Let yourself heal completely. Become secure in your own heart, independent of anyone else's presence. If this bond does come back around, it won't return looking the way it used to. It'll come back transformed, sturdier, built on real clarity instead of old confusion. And if it does return, it won't ask you to make yourself smaller. It won't ask you to abandon the boundaries you've worked so hard to build. It will have to meet you exactly where you've grown to. This time apart matters for a reason. It isn't about giving you temporary comfort, it's about building something that actually lasts. Trust that what's truly meant for your life won't slip past you. What's written into your story can't be stolen by fear or distance. If reunion is part of the plan, it'll happen once you're both emotionally ready. If things shift into something different instead, you'll eventually understand why the journey needed to unfold this way. For now, release the need to control how it all plays out. Stop demanding instant answers. Focus on your growth, your peace, and let the bigger picture handle what you can't see. Anything meant with real purpose doesn't need to be forced to survive. And whatever truly belongs to you will never ask you to lose yourself to keep it. Some people feel things deeply, but the moment those feelings turn real and serious, they panic. Talking about love in theory is easy. It's different when love actually shows up and asks something of you. Some people were never shown healthy love growing up. Maybe they knew inconsistency, distance, mixed signals, or coldness. So when something genuine finally enters their life, it doesn't feel normal. It feels foreign. And foreign can feel like danger. They weren't confused about you. They were overwhelmed by how deep the connection went. Being near you stirred up parts of themselves they'd avoided for years. Your presence made them face their own wounds and fears, and made them aware of what still needed healing in themselves. Instead of leaning into that growth, they backed away, chose distance, chose silence, chose avoidance. Not because you were too much or your love was wrong, but because meeting you at that level required a maturity they hadn't built yet. It required honesty and emotional accountability, and at that point, they simply weren't there. Their withdrawal wasn't a verdict on your worth. It reflected where they were, not who you are. You can't expect someone who hasn't learned to swim to dive into the deep end beside you. That doesn't make the water wrong, it just means they can't handle it yet. You're not being asked to sit in pain, waiting. You're not being asked to shrink so someone else feels comfortable. You're not being asked to beg for clarity or chase reassurance. This season is about you, building your emotional foundation, protecting your peace instead of sacrificing it, knowing your worth so deeply that someone else's hesitation stops shaking it. Don't pause your life hoping someone catches up. Don't shelve your dreams. Don't sit anxious, waiting for them to realize what they lost. Your life keeps moving. Your purpose keeps unfolding. Your growth keeps happening regardless. What's truly meant for you won't require you to exhaust yourself chasing it. What belongs to you aligns with you naturally. It doesn't need to be forced or manipulated into place. There's a real difference between effort and desperation. Destiny never demands desperation. There are quiet signs when someone's still tied to your path. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper instead of a shout. You might notice you're both thinking of each other at the same moment. You might sense their energy strongly while you're healing or growing. You might dream of them right as you're having a breakthrough, like your subconscious is finishing unfinished business. But the real sign isn't anxiety, it's peace. When they cross your mind, does your body feel calm? Grounded instead of frantic, even with the pain still there? Is there a quiet certainty that says, if it's meant to be, it'll come back around? Peace marks real alignment. Anxiety is usually just fear talking. Destiny feels steady, not chaotic. If reunion is in your future, it won't look like the past repeating. It won't come wrapped in drama or mixed signals or feel like walking on eggshells. Two people don't come back together until it's actually safe for both. Safety meaning growth has happened, communication has improved, ego has softened, respect runs both ways. When someone returns in real alignment, the energy is different. Conversations are honest, apologies mean something, effort is consistent, love feels steady instead of rushed. If someone comes back unchanged, still stuck in old patterns, still dodging accountability, still expecting you to settle for less, that's not destiny. That's a test. Nothing gets restored without transformation on both sides. The quiet fear you carry is, what if they never come back? If someone is genuinely written into your story, they can't stay away forever. What's truly aligned finds its way back, even through time and distance. Real love doesn't vanish over ego or fleeting fear. It either matures and returns, or it steps aside for something bigger. And if they choose not to become who they need to be, you won't be left empty. Someone else will come with that same depth of connection, paired with actual readiness. Someone who meets you clearly, doesn't run from real emotion, and isn't threatened by your worth. You are not going to lose love. You are not going to lose deep connection or the feeling of being truly known. The only thing that falls away is whatever couldn't rise to meet who you're becoming. That isn't punishment, it's protection. It's life making room for something that can actually stand beside you instead of holding you back. Stop doubting your worth just because someone hesitated. Their confusion doesn't define your value. Their fear doesn't prove you're too much or not enough. Stop replaying every conversation, hunting for the line where everything supposedly fell apart. You were never meant to pick yourself apart just to make someone else comfortable. Some people walk into your life and quietly raise the bar for what you'll accept. They show you what you'd been settling for. They let you feel what it's like to actually be seen, even briefly. And once you've tasted that, going back to crumbs stops being an option. You can't pretend anymore that you don't need real depth, or keep tolerating inconsistency dressed up as love. Whether or not this person ever returns, you're not who you were before them. You've changed. You've learned your emotional needs more clearly. You know your boundaries. You can spot what feels forced versus what feels right. You catch red flags faster now. You trust your gut more. That's growth. Learning to love without abandoning yourself. Loving someone shouldn't mean shrinking, lowering your standards, or silencing your needs to keep the peace. Real love doesn't demand you betray yourself. Maybe before this you thought love meant proving your worth, earning affection, chasing clarity instead of just receiving it. Now you're seeing that love shouldn't feel like constant uncertainty or unresolved confusion. If someone genuinely values you, they won't leave you guessing or vanish when things get real. And if they do vanish, that's information, not a challenge to try harder. It just means they're not aligned with who you're becoming. You're not losing love, you're outgrowing what couldn't love you properly. Sometimes we cling tightly out of fear that nothing better exists, convincing ourselves this was our one shot at real connection. But life isn't that small, and neither is your heart. Depth is possible again, with someone capable of meeting you there without fear. Growth can feel like loss at first. Setting boundaries might cost you people who benefited from you having none. Valuing yourself might cost you people comfortable with your self-doubt. That's not a downgrade, that's alignment. You're stepping into a version of yourself built on mutual effort, not chasing uncertainty, understanding that love is proven by how safe you feel being yourself, not by how much pain you can absorb. Don't let one person's hesitation redefine how you see yourself. Someone struggling to choose you doesn't mean you're hard to love. It might mean they weren't ready for something genuine. Depth can intimidate people used to staying surface level. Consistency can feel like pressure to someone who's never practiced it. And sometimes people enter your life mid-healing, caring about you while still fighting their own battles, lacking the tools to show up fully. That doesn't erase what you shared, it just means the timing was off. Something can be meaningful and still not be sustainable in that moment. Both things can be true. You're becoming someone who doesn't beg to be chosen, who trusts the right person will see your value without convincing. Clarity, effort, and consistency are all forms of respect, and you deserve that respect. Don't let nostalgia erase the parts that hurt, the sleepless nights, the uncertainty, the energy spent decoding mixed signals. Wanting to avoid repeating that isn't bitterness, it's awareness. It isn't coldness, it's discernment. It isn't being guarded, it's wisdom. However this ends, it's expanded you. It's made you more honest with yourself, pushed you to examine your patterns, and forced deeper questions about what you actually want. Sometimes, the greatest gift someone gives isn't permanence, it's perspective. They reveal what's possible, what you crave, what still needs healing, and then step back so you can absorb the lesson. It can hurt and feel unfinished, but it still counts. You're not behind, not broken, not unlovable. You're in transition. And transitions feel uncomfortable because they ask you to release an old version of yourself. The one who tolerated less, doubted more, and mistook intensity for stability. Now you're learning the difference. Intensity feels powerful, but stability builds an actual life. Chemistry sparks fast, but character is what sustains a connection. Words can sound beautiful, but actions tell the truth. You're starting to judge love by how it holds up over time, not just how it feels at the start. And that awareness is invaluable. Whether this person comes back ready or stays in your past, you've already gained something permanent. Clarity, self-respect, a stronger relationship with yourself. You've learned you can survive disappointment without hardening, feel deeply without losing your boundaries, care without chasing, love without shrinking. That's maturity. As you keep growing, the fear of losing them will slowly give way to trust. Trust that what's meant for you won't require begging, that real love feels safe rather than stressful. You're not losing love, you're making space for a better version of it. If this person is meant to walk beside you long-term, they'll have to rise to meet you, choosing with clarity instead of hesitation. If you still feel this bond peacefully, it isn't broken, it may just be quiet, resting, transforming out of sight. What's truly meant for you doesn't disappear because of temporary distance. When timing aligns, movement will happen without force, clarity without confusion, effort without you having to beg for it. Until then, focus on becoming emotionally strong. Build a life that feels full with or without them. Choose peace over chaos, self-respect over temporary validation, and love yourself deeply enough that anyone entering your life has to meet that standard. Trust the timing. Trust that delay isn't denial. Trust that sometimes protection looks like distance. Trust that what's truly yours can't be permanently taken. And above all, trust yourself. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Carl Jung Insights. Thank you for being here.